What up, guys? This is Dr. Vic. You're listening to another episode here on the Mindful Experiment. Excited to share this topic with you that's going to help you understand the framework of reality in your essence of how you can truly create literally whatever you want. And really understanding this is for individuals who just want to, they're tired of what they've been seeing in their life, what they're experiencing in their life, what they're going through in their life, and they want to have a different reality. And I'm going to share with you the number one mistake that you're doing that keeps you having the same experience, and then what can you do drastically different. This is a technique that I have shared with countless entrepreneurs and chiropractors and so forth that I've coached with over the last 6 years, teaching them effortless success and how does it actually work? How does effortless success truly work? And this is not the title of the episode here, but it's understanding how to create an alternate reality to what you are experiencing. Okay. Now, before we get into the good stuff, just want to share with you, if you haven't already checked out our upcoming program, Unlock Your Greatness, Returning Back to the Source, Aligning with Source, and so much more, check out the waitlist. It's in the link in the show notes. You go ahead and all you have to do is put your name and email. You get on the waitlist. We're going to be releasing this very shortly. And with that, you'll get access to a steep discount for the program. We're going to have it in two different ways. We're going to do an online one where you can just go as your, like a DIY type of process. And then the second one is going to be a group coaching. And it's for individuals who are truly looking to create true transformation. This is stuff that I've been studying for the last 16 years and studied over 100 different individuals from many different backgrounds to really grasp and understand how do we truly create a reality? What are the programs that we can unravel? And how do we get that freedom? Breaking free, breaking the ball and chain, as I like to call it, that's holding you back from experiencing your true essence of who you are. So click that link in the show notes, join the waitlist, and take it from there. We also have a Facebook group that we are slowly expanding, so love to have you be a part of it. We're sharing a bunch of different things in the group to really help elevate one's mind, awareness, and consciousness, how to return back to our source. And so much. And if you're listening to this podcast saying, why does he say source all the time? That's how I call our soul and how I connect with in that essence. You can call it your soul. You can call it the divine invention. You can call that whatever you want. The label does not matter. It's really what matters for you, and how you look at it is really what's going to determine that factor anyhow. But I love using the word source and so forth. So that's where I come from that. Check that out there and so much more. So let's dive in. I want to keep this nice, short, sweet as I possibly can. And so let's say you're experiencing life and you're wondering, why do you continue to see the same experiences happening and showing up? Well, let's go in a relationship, right? You get out of one relationship, you're in another one, and over a short period of time, you're seeing the same problems, complaining about the same things, maybe a little different, and it's in that relationship. You end up when you go to the next one, it's the same thing over and over and over, right? Or you got a car, you don't like your car, you're complaining about the car, you don't like what's in it. You're like, I just wish I had a newer car. It'd be so much better. All the new technology, whatever it may be. And you get a new car, 3 to 6 months down the road, you're starting to look and complain about what you don't like about that car. Same thing in business. You get a little success going, you see some momentum happening, and one thing happens, it derails you off that process, and all of a sudden you're like, well, look what happens. This always happens to me. See, I can get going on things, and all of a sudden this happens, right? It's the things that you keep saying to yourself, like, oh, this always happens. This was, when it came to limiting beliefs on money, I always heard people say when I was growing up that, money just goes with money. Money goes with money. It's just, that's how it always works. And I'm just like, as I got older, I understand the power behind those words. But, I hope this helps. In health, same thing, right? Every time I try to do this, I was working with one patient and did some great work, chiropractic speaking, added in some nutrition, doing some good stuff there, revamped some supplement stuff, got into some emotional releasing, got into mindfulness, and through all that, good stuff, good changes, really great. Life changed, all this good stuff. But there was a pattern I picked up on where if a relapse happened, or let's say pain came back in some way, shape, or form, nowhere near as long as it did, nowhere near the intensity, but it came back. I paid attention to the story. And then after then it wasn't this anymore. It showed up somewhere else. And I was just like, man, for the length of care, we're talking about 6 to 8 months in. I'm like, I should be seeing something a little different here. Why is it showing up this way? And everyone's on their own path, and the healing is a personal journey. Totally understand this from a chiropractic perspective, holistic perspective, and so forth. But something kept telling me there's a story she keeps on saying. And all of a sudden, I asked her one day about it. And she said, well, I know I can't overdo things because if I do, then I'll have a setback. It always happens to me. And I was like, that's the story. We need to change the story. We need to change how you're declaring it. We need to change how we're doing all that, because all of a sudden we did that. 2 weeks go by, feeling great. Had a physical weekend, had more of soreness than pain, felt amazing. Another weekend goes by, a lot of physical activity again. Can't believe how great that she's feeling. Another week goes by, another weekend hits. Same thing's happening, right? She's just adding more to that plate. This went on for like 6 to 8 weeks. And she's like, I tried working out for the first time in a long time, and I overdid it, I felt, but my body responded really well. And I said, what's the story you're telling yourself? Change the story, changes your life. And from there, now we're talking about what's capable. What can you do? Where's your limits, right? And this is like part of the fraction, just to throw this in there, of unlocking your greatness. What things I'll be teaching and sharing, and so much more in that journey. So check it out in the show notes there really quick. Thought I could put a little plug in there. But it's amazing that when we look at this, so we get so used to seeing something the same way, and we personalize everything. This is the separation, the Garden of Eden separation that happened. It wasn't really us being condemned by God and kicked out. That's too literal. When things are written in symbolism, you can't take it literally. There's a symbol of what these words, or the example of what that means. Like I always talk to people, like the Bible's written because it was written about consciousness, really. And if you really look at it from that framework and you understand how the mind works, then you start reading these stories or reading this stuff, and you're going, oh my goodness. And it's mind blowing. But it's that separation that we create, and from our higher self, or our higher consciousness self, versus our personal lower consciousness, physical world self. And so there's this separation in a sense. And so when we are looking at our life consistently through the lens of this is what it is, there's nothing else, and you think that you're not a creator. I always tell people that, coaching clients, I'll tell them, if you have fear, then you don't really know the power of who you are. And if you want to get religious in this, I'll say you don't trust in God. If you don't trust in yourself, you don't trust in God. Those are the same thing. But if you want to get religious on this, I always say you don't trust God. You don't trust what he can, what the capabilities of what he can do. Like, or you don't trust yourself. You don't trust the power of who you are and all that you're capable of. So much. This is what I've learned over the last 16, 17 years on this journey, since I've been 24 years old, is that there are so many people coming and sharing a message that is just in their way through their vibration, their consciousness. So it sounds different. And after I studied so much of this, I started seeing, I'm like, it's all the same stuff. And then I could have, I had a business coach, a marketing coach, and all these other things. And like, you need a coin frame, what works for you. You need to make it your name. And I'm like, why am I going to create something that's going to create a method that is going to just be another thing that's going to be, I know from a marketing standpoint, it's smart. But for my world, I was like, there's so much out there. I'm just putting it all together. I didn't come up with the wisdom. I just see it all, and I see a pattern. And that pattern I see is what gives me insight. And so when we're looking at your life and you're constantly see the same thing showing up, I've written this in my book. I've talked about this on the podcast before. The reason why that's happening is because your focus is always looking at the lack. You're looking and expecting for the opposite to show up. And the reason why I know you're doing that, whether it's in finance, health, business, career, money, you name it, all this stuff relates. It's universal. Is that you're expecting that to show up, and you have a reaction because you were expecting it at some point. Now, let me explain the story here so you can understand how I can put this together for you. You ever have a moment where you're talking with somebody and you're going to go share something with them, and then all of a sudden, or whatever that may be, and they react a certain way and you go, yep, I expected that to happen. Or it may be something you were looking forward to, hoping that something would happen, and it goes the other way, and you're like, I expected that to happen. Or it could be something with money, and you thought you were going to win something and it didn't. You're like, yep, that's my luck. That's just what happens. That's an expectation, right? There's power behind an expectation. And so it's one of those things that when you're looking at it, you have this reaction. It's because you were expecting that to show up and you were hoping that you were wrong, but hope is doubt that you knew it wouldn't be. And deep down, these are subconscious programs that are running automatically. And so you have this knee jerk reaction. Now, there's this short podcast like this, or even a half hour to an hour, I can't explain all this in full detail, but there's aspects of where your reaction is actually a cue to know when you are in discord with one source. You see, because when you look at really what your solar source is, what's the feelings from that? It's bliss, joy, happiness, peace, calmness. There's a centeredness, a groundingness to energy. It's our natural essence of who we are. And I teach this in my coaching program of how to understand those feelings when they show up, how to align to them, and when you're doing anything, how that matters. But at the same token, it's looking at your life and saying, okay, if you have a knee-jerk reaction of a negative vibration, you are in discord, you are disconnected, you are kicked out of the Garden of Eden, because your focus is not in alignment to what your natural power source is. So let me explain what that means. So when you're not in that, when you are connected and in alignment, the positive feelings are showing up. You're feeling happy, you're feeling bliss, you're feeling joy, you're excited, there's enthusiasm, there's eagerness. These are good, positive consciousness vibrations or conscious emotion or higher emotions, vibrational emotions. And so when you're in that state, you're closer and aligned to that. And you're getting closer and closer aligned, which is like being back in the Garden of Eden. Okay. That's true consciousness, your essence, your source, all that. And so the discord happens again because of our focus, our reactions, and more importantly, though, it's about the story that we're telling ourselves. And this is why I titled this alternate reality, because you can have an alternate reality and start creating in the moment. You don't have to wait. A few episodes ago, I talked about how when you sleep, you reset everything, right? The only reason why you don't experience that is because when you wake up in the next morning, Joe Dispenza says you wake up, your body's in the past. Well, many other speakers or people I've studied also will talk about how you're waking up and your thoughts are just the same as where they were you left off yesterday. So no wonder you're experiencing the same things, waking up with the same vibe, having similar experiences that show up. Instead of being, like Steve Harvey once said, wake up, man, it's going to be a great day today. You have no reason how you know it's going to be a great day. But you're setting the tone, and that's critical. Every morning I wake up, I've been doing this. I used to do this in back and forth on and off over the years. This year, 2025, this has been a consistent pattern every morning. I wake up before I get out of bed, before I do anything. I'm in bed and I go, I'm just so grateful to have this beautiful bed, warm, cozy, relaxing place, a peaceful place that I can sleep and regenerate. I'm so grateful for that. Today is going to be an amazing day. I'm so looking forward to all the amazing things that are going to happen today. And I look forward to reflecting on this later today. So I can't wait to get started. Let me get up. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I get up and I get going for the day. Right? So I take that 3 minutes, 2 minutes. It's not long, but just enough to give gratitude, be grateful for what I have, and just get really excited for the day. Like literally not going, I'm excited for today. I can't wait to see what's happening. I'm like, no, man, I'm so excited. It's a whole new opportunity. And it makes it easier for me because my 2.5-year-old daughter, she always has a joy and zest in things. I'm like, hey, you want to go do this? And she'd be like, yes, sure. Hey, you want to go do this? Sure. You want to do that? Sure. And she's really happy about it. Right? She gets excited over the things that we do. We can do things redundantly. I talked about this in my first book of how children are and so forth. And it's funny because now I have my daughter kind of showing me exactly what I wrote about. And it's that excitement, right? So I try to tap into that energy, and it just makes it easier for me because I see it with her. So I know that energy when I see it. So I just focus in on that, and then I can tap in. And I just say that every single day. Just doing that alone will change everything about what you're going on in your life. And you got, at the end of the day, you have reflection on that to be grateful for what did show up because you're focusing only on that, not the negatives. It's the same thing when I'm talking to a client, coaching client, and they'll be like, I'm like, what's good today? And they're like, oh, everything's good. But I had this being low that they go into the negatives right off the bat. And I'm just like, no. I want to know what's good. That's it. I don't want to know about any negative. Let's talk about what's good. And let's just continue focusing, growing on what you want to create. So when it comes to then the alternate side of reality, you have to really tell yourself a different story. I've said this, probably did a handful of episodes like this in this podcast, but it's one of the things where you're really looking at yourself and saying, okay, this can happen, but there's always a silver lining, right? So where are you going to put your energy on? Do you want to focus on the storm that's here, or do you want to look at the silver lining of it all? And it's totally up to you, but whatever you're going to put focus and create the story out of, that's what's going to be for you. So if you're used to having things experience over and over and over again, tell yourself something different. If you're looking at your health and you have this, maybe you're diagnosed with something, and you're like, oh, let's say cancer. Which, a lot of people say, oh, you got to fight this cancer. I'm going to F cancer and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, you're talking about your body, right? When you say that, it's not like it's something outside of you. It is you. But it's one of those things where what's the dialogue that you're going to change? Because let's just put this in perspective. F cancer, I'm going to fight, right? What kind of what's the energy there versus body? I know you're always healing. I know you're always looking for the best opportunity possible for me to thrive and heal in this lifetime. And I know you're designed to do that. So I understand that there's something that I may be doing, or my environment, my mind, my energy, all that is allowing for this to exist. And so what I'm looking at doing then is I'm leaving it to you. I see myself being whole and healing. I know my body's designed to heal. I know every day I heal to get better and better and better. And I know the people, the circumstances, and the situations are going to come to me to help support me in that. Which one do you want? Fight, F cancer, or that one? Who do you think is going to thrive in that situation? And you see, they're both the same thing. It's just how you're explaining. Same thing in business. I have sometimes clients who've been hitting plateaus for a whole year, right? I'm a business coach. Oh my goodness, everyone should be killing it when they have a business coach. Yes and no. It all varies. I hit plateaus even having business coaches multiple times. I've had 4 years in business where I hit plateaus. Like, it was consecutive too, a couple of them. And it was one of those things where in my head, I thought, hire a business coach, I should be breaking levels. But what I realized, I had to do some inner work that had a breakthrough. It wasn't the outside, it was the inside. And once I started to realize that, then all of a sudden I broke out of my plateau. And then I was like, wow, 30% growth in a business that I've been in for 8 years, right? And I blew up 30%, another 20% growth the next year. And I was like, this is good. I like this. This is good. And so it's one of those things where I realized it was all an internal game. And I kind of knew that before because that's how I grew my business before. But sometimes you forget. And so it's one of those perspectives of looking at doing, it's the story you're telling yourself, right? And when you can get really good at this and you can really hone in on it, and then you just tell yourself, this is what my new reality is going to be. F everything else. I don't care what shows up, because I know there's a lag time, right? There's something beautiful about the space and time continuum that we live in. You can declare everything in the moment energetically and so forth. Some things can happen pretty quick, but usually there's a lag time for most people. And what I mean by that is there's going to be about a 4 to 6 week window, give or take, can be shorter, can be a little longer, to where the energy has to start changing. But your job is just to declare it. And here's how you change your reality. Focus on how things are aligning to what you want to create. That's it. That's it. There's really nothing else to it. Most people overcomplicate this because you think you have to do it all on your own, or you have to hire XYZ, or you have to do this system or that system and all that. I'm telling you right now, you don't need to do any of those things. What you'll need will come to you. Because if you need something outside yourself to scale up, the person or the software, the program, the teacher, whatever comes, right? When the student seeks, the teacher comes. There's a purpose behind that statement. So instead, you focus on you and where your vibe is, because you have two options. And I'm telling you, I started this when I got into coaching. I still say this message so many times, and I have to keep my clients on a path to where we do too much. We need to learn to be. This is a human principle at all levels. If every human can needs to have that more. But in business, we like double down on doing. And this is why 60% entrepreneurs burn out. And I think it's higher in the first, are burned out right now, actually. And even in chiropractic, there's no different. 50 to 60% of chiropractors are burned out and leave the profession after 5 years. And so it's one of these principles. Why? Because this is what they're doing instead of being. And you understand the principles of the vibration of being is that when you're doing, here, let me take this back. When you're doing, You're going to spend more on your business to get new leads and clients, whatever your business is. You're going to spend all this SS money to grow your business. These are guys that have been around, and I'm a straight talker, so I'll tell you straight up like it is. These are people who brag about how much they make in sales, but they'll never brag about how much they make in profits. And the reasons why, before I got into coaching, what I cared more about, I hit sales, and I was like, oh man, look how much sales I have. I'm killing this, right? I'm doing unbelievable. And then I looked at my profits, and I'm like, that's a big difference between the two. I don't like that. Someone's like, well, if you're here, this is good. Here's all the leaders and what the expectations and the matrix of that. And I'm going, I love to get 80-20. And everyone's like, 80-20. I'm like, 80% profit margin, 20% expenses. They're like, that doesn't happen. That's extremely rare. And I'm like, you'll have to have a building that's paid off. You're going to have this, that's this. You have to have everything paid off and then have very low staff and all these things. And I was like, I'm going to try. Well, I got to 79%. It was close. I'm happy with that. The year before that was 71. And so, again, why am I sharing this with you? I'm not trying to impress you. That's the last thing I want to do. I want to press upon you how this works. I want to share with you that when you declare something, you really hold behind it and you start looking for the clues to show how you're in alignment with that, it happens. 4 to 6 weeks is what the lag time usually is, but you just have to keep setting out what is the story that you're telling yourself and just start looking every night, just start looking for what is there. And I can promise you, if you do that, your reality will shift in 2 to 3 months. Average framework with I've been coaching for 6 years, so I have data here. The average client I work with in the first 6 months gains about 30-ish, mid-30s, 35-ish, 36%, up to 52% growth without doing anything new. Let me say that one more time. This is without doing anything new. Do I know systems and business coaching and how to do that? I do. I'm very good at that. Do I know how to utilize AI and I teach prompts to my clients and all this stuff? Yeah, I have a whole library of stuff for them. But that's not where the magic of my coaching comes in. The magic comes in working with the individual and creating a massive shift. This is why I created the program, Unlock Your Greatness. I highly recommend joining the waitlist because I'm going to teach you things that I've been teaching coaching clients that get them these kind of results and then some. And some of them fight me on it. It's normal. They think they have to do. What's next I have to do? What's this that I have to do? And it's like, no, you don't have to do that. You do this. Did all my clients become successful? No, I'm lying if I said that. No one has a 100% success rate. Nothing's 100% in life. The thing about that is, though, as a coach, I've dissected that down and said, did I allow the right person in to hire me, to be their coach? What did I miss in that department? I hold a lot of myself accountability with that, but I can't do everything. I always tell my clients, if you want, I can't do it for you, but if you pay me $1 million, I probably could. I'll do it all. I'll run the whole thing. But that's the key component of it all, is that it's trusting the process, trusting the work that we do. And when I have my clients do that, it's source. I had a client that fought me for 5 months, literally fought me for 5 months. He was continuing after the 6 month, and I have a 6 month initial that you do 6 months with me. And then after the 6 months, we go to a monthly. And so 6 month commitment he did. And 5 months in, he's frustrated. He's like, I don't understand. It was 4 months in actually when he was talking about this. But in the 5th month, he literally was on a call and goes, I think I'm starting to understand what you're talking about. This energy, this focus, this vibe stuff. It was so foreign to me. But I think I'm understanding. So I'm happy you're understanding. I'm glad we're getting to that point. And what ended up happening is the next month, something happened. All of a sudden, his business jumped up 45%. Kid you not. And we didn't do anything. Now, there was preparation all throughout that process. So I want to be very clear about that. But it was that process of creating a different alternative reality, trusting the process, honing in and looking for the clues. I had another client got basically a month's worth of sales in a check, right? Came out of nowhere. He was expecting it. It took a while, but I was sharing that, like, remember, everything's vibration. You can't attract that into your life unless you're vibrating at the right state of that. So you've created this in some way to help yourself. I had something happen for me that's great. I'll be sharing more stories about myself. I'm waiting for some other things to happen. Once everything comes together to a point, I'm going to share some of these stories in my program. I'm definitely going to share them. So you're going to get access to that, especially in the group coaching part of that. I share a lot more personal stuff when it comes to that. So you can see how this works in my life. I get very personal with my clients so they understand that I go through the same things. I'm human. I'm no different than you. That has been my motto to all my clients. I am not superior to you whatsoever. We are actually the same. And so it's just how we focus on what we look at. So stop telling yourself the old story. Start telling yourself a new story and start looking for the clues of that story, how it exists and is true for you. That's it. Shut the noise off, which is a lot harder than you think. Don't give in to the old story because it's going to be easy to do that. Stop giving into the old feelings because that's going to be easy to do too. This is what the real hard work is and the grit. Spiritual work is not easy. Spiritual work is hard because it hits sore spots that really get you. And you're triggered and conditioned a certain way, the matrix and how it's played a role on you and your mind and your development and how you react and all these things. And this is a process to unravel. I share very simple truths because I've learned over time that if someone can make it simple, they actually know what they're talking about. And I always tell people, like in sales or whatever, if you ever hear someone has to talk a lot, they're trying to sell you. But when someone just says something simple like, hey, you want to change your life? It's very simple to do. Tell yourself a new story. Start looking for how that aligns to your new story and be grateful when it shows up and for all the little things that show up along the way. That's all I got for you. So I appreciate you guys as always. Make sure you join the wait list. Get on there. We're going to be releasing soon. We've had some hiccups and some stuff. This was supposed to be honestly released back in February, but I promise you it's worth the wait. We're making sure we do things right. I'd rather delay a little more to make sure I do it right than to rush it and then all of a sudden be not the product that I want to have for you guys. So join the wait list and subscribe, like, share this with someone you may know that may need this. And if you're looking for coaching, we have a link there to go ahead and book a free call, only for serious inquiries only. So if you're in business, there are some criteria to that. You got to be in business. You can be a startup. We do work with startups, but at the same token, you are looking for someone to hire to help you take it to the next level, or you've been a seasoned business owner and you've been hitting plateaus, or you're not hitting marks that you thought you could, and you want to understand why that's happening and then what you can do from that. That's what I do and so much more. You got a link in below to book a call. Appreciate you as always, and until next time, keep rocking and rolling.